one of the things we talk about, we've been talking about a lot of Unreal and how to build that out and how to build your characters in MetaHuman and other things. But one of the things that becomes challenging is, okay, it's great that you have a person, but how do you clothe them? Like how do you put something on them? That's a big piece of the puzzle. And so we're really, really excited to have Svetlana Yakunina and Logan Lim here from Z Emotion to talk about Z-Weave, which is something that we saw at SIGGRAPH, and we were really excited about it. And we finally were able to get them on. So Svetlana and Logan, thank you for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I wanted just to maybe quickly introduce ourselves and what we do. Yeah. We are actually, thank you so much for anticipating already, but we are 3D garment design tool and high fidelity cloth simulation technology. So Logan further going to explain to you our competitive advancements. But our team is located in Seoul, Milan, Hong Kong, San Francisco. So anytime you're in these areas, just let us know. We will be just happy to meet. And Logan, please, you can go ahead.
Okay, hello. My name is Logan Lim, and I'm a digital fashion creator at G-Motion. So I'm responsible for creating 3D contents using G-Weave and G-Unreal. So today I'm going to introduce how you can use G-Weave and G-Unreal and how to streamline your workflow from creating 3D garments and bring it to on your engine. So let me share my screen first. And I hope you can see my screen well. So
you're seeing a starting up message. Right, there it is. Now you're up.
Yep. Thanks for that. And when you start G, you can see these 3 panels. On the left is a 3D window and 2D window and side panel. And so this avatar is called Jetta. And then you can choose when you go to avatar and you can see woman and man avatar, and also you can change the shape of the avatar.
And this is really, as we look at this is really designed to work as someone who's a garment designer. So a lot of this definitely looks very much like what you would do if you were cutting this out of real cloth. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes, it is. So before we start, if you're really familiar with using the CAD program, like creating DXF5 patterns, you can bring it into G-Weave. So in this case, this pattern is from the CAD program. I made this pattern from that software. And then you can import this one, the DXF file. And once you bring this pattern into the G-Weave, you can sew this pattern using this sewing function right here, like that. And then I'm already sewing them together for this demo. And then when you start playing,
when you say you're sewing it together, you're attaching those points. So there's those points on the corners, and you're saying this attaches to this, this attaches to this, this attaches to this. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, it is. Just let me show you how it works. So when you want to sew this seam line here, you click this button and then click this one, sewing, and then just click this line. And then click the corresponding line here. It's done. It's sewing it together. Yeah. So if this line means that they're already sewing it together correctly. So once you're done, you can play this. So let me do this one like that. Once you finish sewing, you can play this button. You can see this clothes start simulating on the avatar like that. Here. And also this avatar has the motion from A pose to I pose here. And then you can drag and check the fit, how it goes well or not, like that. And one of the strengths of using G is that you can edit the pattern during simulation. So when you go to curve selection mode or point selection mode, and then select this point and just drag it drop like that, or just move it to the like that. You can change the pattern like this during simulation. And also you can apply to the fabric here. Just click the pattern and double click this fabric. You can change the fabric like this. Like that.
And so in the fabrics,
back,
when we change those fabrics are it's the shininess, it's the thickness, it's how flexible it is, it's how it's going to flow. All those are built into that fabric. It's not just a texture map. It's not just a color, but it's all all the attributes of that cloth. Is that right?
Yeah, and also when you want to get the realistic texture, you can create the texture from the Photoshop or Pixelplane or Substance Sampler. And once you have that texture map, you can add this here: normal, opacity, displacement map, and roughness map, and so on. This fabric, when it comes to this fabric, it only has the texture map. But if you want one more realistic texture, you can add normal, opacity, displacement map. Yeah. And also you can check the preset fabric right here. We provide cotton, Oxford, the interpoly lip as well. If you want to use this one, just right click and duplicate it, and you can check the fabric. Here. Right click, duplicate. You can see this copy fabric here. Let's do the same thing. Click the fabric and double click this fabric, and you just turn it to the fabric when you want, like that. Also, you can know how to create the texture from other software. You can do new fabric like this. So let me show you first. So, what a prepared fabric for today's demo here. This one is a freeze from base. I created from Photoshop. Let's double click this one.
And what resolution are these texture maps being? What resolution are you creating them in?
Well, usually go for 4096 pixel. Yeah.
So 4096 by 4096 scenes.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And then if you want a more realistic texture, add a normal map, and then there's a roughness and the specular map, and you can see the difference between using it or not, like that. And also you can grab the free fabric asset from Substance 3D asset as well. And then, and also you can bring your own custom avatar from other software to show reverse. This avatar is from MetaHuman avatar here. And you're also moving from A pose to Rumba dance. So, let's start simulation. And then, once it's done, I can increase the animation speed during the simulation like that. And you're gonna start moving to Rumba dancing like that. Like this. Like that. And then,
and this is a pre-built animation that you have in the application?
Yeah, I have created this motion from MetaHuman sequence in Unreal Engine.
In Unreal Engine, and are you able to put am I able to have any motion that I'd like to put in there as that sample?
Yeah, I usually get the motion from Mixamo. I think some of people already familiar with that Mixamo animation. I usually use Mixamo and Unreal Engine and retargeting thing in sequencer.
And then are you importing this as a model, or is that animation imported as a motion capture file? What format does the data come in at?
Usually go with FBX file.
FBX? Okay. And is the FBX?
Yeah, yes it is.
Is the FBX including the geometry or just the motion when you bring it in to apply it here?
just show some motion with the mesh. This one.
With the mesh.
Just drag.
Okay.
So let me show how to add avatar. Just when you go avatar and go to custom mode, and then new avatar, and then let me see project demo avatar is done. You can find the demo avatar here. The double click it, and you can bring it to the 3D window like that. So, and also one of the strengths of using GU is that in simulation. So if you wanna save this scene, you can just go to draping board and then add here like that, and keep drawing it. And if you wanna check the previous scene, you can stop and then double click this one. It's gonna take you to the previous scene like that. So you can compare the fit between previous one but using this, adding this scene in draping board like that. So, so once you finish, you're completing your clothes without Unreal, you always export this clothes as FEX or Alembic or so on. But now if you have the Unreal, you don't have to do that. Just save this JS file and then just move on to the level you have like this. So let me share the Unreal on your engine screen.
So Unreal, that is your plugin that basically allows Unreal Engine to actually just read the file that you save from this?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Without Unreal, always we want to bring this clothes or animated clothes, we have to export as Alembic or FBVX with MC file. But if you have Unreal, you don't have to do that. Just click, you can just bring this clothes into Unreal Engine with Unreal. So first thing you have to do is just save this file and then open your project, Unreal Engine project. So let me share my Unreal Engine screen here, like this one. Before we do, we have to activate Unreal plugins. So go to setting and plugin and then start the Unreal here. And then check this one. And once you're done, Unreal Engine asks you to activate this, restart this program. So I'm already done for it. And then you can find this banner here. And then click and activate to make sure your license has been activated successfully here. And then go to OpenJS file and open the JS you want. And then there's two options you can see. First one is import avatar mesh. If you want to use your avatar from GUI, you can check, but at this time, we're going to use MetaHuman avatar. So I'm going to uncheck this one. And second one is create material instance. It means that if you want to customize your material, I recommend you to check this one because material instance doesn't affect your original material. That's why I recommend you to check this one. So import JS like that. Once you're done, the content browser pops up here. And you can find this closed, a blueprint class. Just drag and drop into your level like that, like this. And you can see the texture is pretty same in GIF. And then you have to place this MetaHuman and this code at the same location, just using this reset button. And then to simulate this clothes is on your engine. You have to bring the actor called Zilla Simulation Manager. So drag and drop it to level as well. And you can see this one, and there are several steps you have to do. First is Zilla Scene Array. This one is for your clothes. So add element and select this demo point one to close. And the mesh actor array is for your avatars. At this time, we're gonna put MetaHuman into this element. So select this PP demo avatar right here. And to get a realistic result, I really recommend you to check the smart pinching, penetration free, and then as you can see, this neckband is quite far away from the avatar. So I'm gonna transform this avatar at this pattern to the avatar. So one of the strengths using Unreal in Unreal Engine is that you can transform the pattern, deform, or change the value for physical property in this details panel, like that. So you can transform the pattern like this. It means that you don't have to go back to GWeave to change the transform over anything that you want. Just transform over. If you want to deform this pattern, you can do this like this. And also, if you want to make it more stretchy, you can change this value here. No need to go back to GWeave. So at this time, I'm going to increase the collision thickness for more realistic result. So 2, and also I'm going to get this down like 1.2.
So these are essentially the physics properties of the fabrics that have come in.
Yes,
so
it is.
We're not stuck with what got done in the ZWeave tool. Once it's been brought in through the plugin, we can actually, if we watch this, I guess at some point I imagine you're going to show a simulation, but we can then make tweaks to this directly within Unreal. We don't have to go back and forth between the two programs.
Yeah, that's true. So once you finish your clothes in G, and you can do everything in Unreal Engine with Unreal. So it's gonna save your time going back to G. Just do whatever you want in Unreal Engine like you do in GWeave. So doing it. And also you can change the custom mesh quality here to help you understand how it works. I'm gonna go to wireframe mode. This one is 2.0, but if you wanna get more realistic thing, let me go to 1.2. You can see the mesh is pretty dense. So you can change the mesh quality here. And also
the mesh quality, if you have a fast enough graphics processor, you can keep on making that smaller. To get. But
it's gonna take you a lot of more time than you use go with default setting. Mm-hmm. But it's depending on your computer, like a GPU or your CPU things. Yeah.
Is this more dependent on CPU or GPU?
GPU, because it's the game engine. Yeah.
Yep.
And also, if you want to use the dynamic motion like dancing or walking, jogging, I recommend you to get this up about the friction. I usually go 4.5 because it's gonna get your fabric and avatar more sticky, so it's less slippery. So 4.5 is my go-to. Then once it's done, you can check the simulation in Unreal Engine. Just go with simulation game mode. I want to check the fit from these current camera locations. This one, and start. As you can see, the code starts simulating like in GWeave here.
And in this case, the clothes are kind of fitting themselves. They're pulling up, and the collision is actually figuring out where on the body they need to lay and sit and to look proper.
Yes, it is.
So that even if it felt like it was a little off, to one side, but it finds its way to the center as it starts to fit to the body.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. I can see the simulation going well. As everything's all set to go to generate the geometry cache for rendering. Press ESC to get back. And then I'm gonna add a new sequence to generate geometry cache. So this one called SQ demo. And I'm gonna bring the metahuman and these clothes into sequencer. Oh, and also I prepared for some motion for demo. SQ definer and face also. SQ. And thanks to Unreal Engine, I'm really easily to make the motion for face and body. So as you can see, this motion going like this. And then I'm going to bring the clothes into sequencer as well. And then I'm going to create a new camera to check how it goes during rendering. So it is disabled. And don't forget to turn on the use cache to generate geometry cache for this. And then everything is ready to generate cache. So edit range. Once it's done, just go to render and double check your sequence name and your level here, and then start rendering. Oh.
So with this render, you're doing more than, it's not just rendering images, but at the same time, it's actually saving the 3D geometry of the garment.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Do you have to define a pre-roll amount of time? Like, so I guess it looks like you've got it set up where the character stays in that T or A pose for a period of time. So that's important. But then later, once that geometry's been cached, we could use any camera position and play it back quicker because it's actually saving out like each frame of where the fabric is.
Yes, it is. And also, if you wanna save your time, you don't need to go with a high quality image for generating cache. You can just 100, 105. But depending on the complexity of your clothes and avatar, it's gonna take you about a minute. For example, this motion is about 234 frames, and it's gonna take about 1 minute. I think it's quite fast to generate cache. And also, if you
what
use
are the specs on the just for reference, like what kind of GPU do you have? How much RAM? Just curious, just so.
Oh yeah, yes, it could be. My GPU is the 3070 Ti, NVIDIA. Yeah.
So 3070 Ti actually isn't that. It's not like at top end. It's not like a crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's a standard consumer GPU, not even the latest generation. And this is, I mean, compared to what I've seen in other systems, you know, in years gone by, this is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, that's true. If you have the,
And if you turn that resolution, you know, that the mesh resolution to a higher resolution, that render would take a lot longer, right? Because it's got a lot more to calculate.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Because I usually go with 1.5 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
So once you finish generating cache, you can find this one. Context browser pops up. All you need to do is just bring it to the sequencer. And then I'm gonna hide the previous BP. And then okay. And this one is a very important thing to do for rendering. Just match the sync up the motion and the cache like this. Yeah, it's done. I think the rendering part is you know better than I do. So you can set up, I'm gonna edit the range. Actually, we don't need the A pose part. So I wanna start from here. And then I wanna end this one like that. done.
This is super cool because I'm realizing at this moment that in Unreal, we could use any animation for this character as long as they initialize for the first, however many frames in that A pose so that the garment could assemble over them. It doesn't have to be this dance, which was the dance that was used in the original Z-Weave project. Like we could do anything. They could then have a seat and work at a computer or whatever it is. And from this one garment file.
And you could theoretically in Unreal, I mean, Nick, you can tell me, Logan can tell me that you could have an A pose for that character and then do a motion blend to the motion. So you can have an A, you have that character in an A, whether you have that in your motion or not, you could have an A pose for that character to allow it to fit and then blend it to the motion. So you wouldn't have to have it built into the motion itself. If you always just had, this is my A pose, and you have that A pose, and then you mix the two of them together, then it goes into that. So it would have what it would need without having to have it in the animation itself. Is that correct? I mean, I don't know. I'm just
I'll just say from an Unreal Engine point of view, that's absolutely correct. So you could have one animation for the character that's just like holding the A pose for however many seconds that you want it to be, and even that you could shorten it or lengthen it if you wanted. And then just like a video editor could crossfade from one video clip to another, you would essentially crossfade from that A pose to the start of whatever other performance you wanted.
And then would you if you had like 5 characters in here, would you cache them all at the same time, or do you cache them? Do you run a cache for one at a time to get them all to where you want them? One at a time.
I recommend you to do one by one.
Yep.
Because it's gonna takes a lot of resource to generate the cache. So I really recommend you to one by one. Yeah, and also as you know that you can easily create A pose motion in sequencer. So, and also I can show you how to do that.
Yeah. I was going to ask one other question though. Once we've created the cache, do we still have flexibility to change the textures on the fabric?
Yeah.
So I could then put, like if I wanted a group of dancers, I could put 2 more dancers that have the same body proportions and change one dress color to blue and the other one to yellow. And so now I've got blue, yellow, black dresses. And maybe I shift one dancer 1 frame earlier and another dancer 1 frame later. And so I've got a little bit of discontinuity in terms of timing. And so
it's gonna be amazing to create that 3D content. But the reason why we check the material instance, the reason we can create the copy, you can see the create material instance for your another cache, and then you can just apply it like that, and add the sequencer and just rendering. That's all. You don't have to go back to Weave. Yeah.
Imagine the metahuman TikToks that could be made.
And it seems. Have you done any? Have you seen anyone do like a Unreal Engine or a virtual fashion show?
Yeah. Also, I can show the video. One of the project we collaborate with Louis Vuitton. So it's gonna short video, and then.
Yeah. So last year.
Give me a second.
Yeah. Go ahead, Logan. I will introduce the project then.
Oh, you have the video?
Oh, no, you can share the video. I will introduce it verbally.
Okay, thanks, Anna.
Yeah, last year we had a chance to collaborate with Louis Vuitton for the conference of Vivatech, and it was an internal project where we created the clothes. We recreated digitally the physical clothes, and we put them on the avatars, and we created this beautiful video. Can we see the video? Yes.
Yeah.
And for that project, was the rendering done in Unreal, or did you render with something else?
Sorry, I missed your voice. Can you please say that again?
Do you know for that Louis Vuitton project?
Yeah.
What did you use for rendering of that? Like the image.
Rendering in Unreal Engine is create the avatar using MetaHuman from Maya. Yeah. So we mix them in Unreal Engine and the rendering. Yeah.
And it was it just that one character, or were there multiple characters in that video?
If I'm not wrong, there were around 5-6 characters.
Or do you have the
Yes,
video of that?
yeah, but let me check. You can have.
But it seems like you could
video.
literally build a runway that looked. I mean, this one's in a kind of a box, but you could build a runway where I could see someone putting on a headset and having a runway and feeling like they're there. You know, like they're.
Oh, you mean with the Apple Vision Pro to be, for example,
or
inside,
Meta, or the Meta headset,
or Meta, yes, exactly.
But you basically have it'd be a little, you could have it where they're putting the headset on. It's like they can pick their seat. There's a real runway. There's people walking.
Yeah, I think it's coming in the future. Definitely, I think this is what we can expect in fashion. Absolutely, because we already seen AR runway shows where people could scan QR codes and then have some AR filters on the models while they were presenting. So I definitely think it's the future. However, we did create 3D spaces and 3D environments for different brands with whom we worked in like last several years. So, but we didn't create it yet for Vision Pro or any headset.
Definitely feels like it's the next step, and so really the building the clothing is built exactly the way a traditional designer would build clothing. They're cutting that fabric the way that they're digitally cutting that fabric the way that they would cut real fabric. So you're really leaning on traditional skills as far as how to build the clothing. And you could theoretically take, a lot of us, a friend of mine does, puts up lots of ideas on Etsy, so it's my sister-in-law, and she puts up all these things on Etsy of shirts and bags and things like that. But you could literally download the pattern from Etsy and build it in your software. And then give it the attributes, and you'd end up with a bag or clothing or shirts or something based on just the traditional outlines. Am I following the idea?
Yes, it is.
It's fascinating.
But yeah.
And how much is the product?
So actually, Alex, we wanted to jump into that a little bit later because we have a really
you got
nice.
Other things you want to share? Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. We wanted to announce and invite more users to join our platform. However, actually, Alex, I had few things to say before we jump to general questions and other questions, because previously you asked us if this software is only for like physical designers who really know how to work with clothing. But actually, it is not just like that. If you never worked in fashion industry or you never worked with any of the 3D softwares, you can also start using Z-Wave because it is really simple, and we try to address different audiences together. Of course, if you studied fashion, it's much easier to get used to the platform, obviously. But if you are if, for example, it's a fashion brand who doesn't have the 3D department yet, they can still learn and get used to Z-Wave very fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised that there's my wife watches a show where there's designers designing clothes. I mostly just see it walking by, I'm afraid, but I could imagine them previsualizing a lot of their clothes before they start cutting it. There's always this chaos of them cutting things and finding out that they're not working, but I could definitely see the process of them figuring a lot of this stuff out before they start cutting the cloth itself. It seems like very, very valuable. Yeah, it's a really
because of course you can measure the patterns directly in Z-Wave, so you can control the length of each line to sew the clothing. Also, I wanted to say, because previously we spoke about collision, and actually in Z-Wave we have 90% reduction in collision errors for much smoother workflow.
Yeah, it's great.
Alex mentioned earlier about Etsy and someone, I think you said clothing and bags. And I was just curious, do you have users that use this for anything other than clothing, but other fabric-based product like bags or shoes or something like that?
Yannick, maybe you could you could also reply this question. No, but yeah, actually we do create bags. You can also create bags. We are working on different new implementations where you can work with shoes as well on our software. So let's see what we're gonna develop this summer.
That's great. And this runs on it's PC only, correct? I mean, it's because it's working with Unreal. So it's a PC software. Is that?
Yeah. Also, we are working on the Mac version because a lot of fashion students, fashion designers, they use Mac. But I know that many professional artists don't use Mac, but still we have to adjust for the audiences as well.
Yeah. No,
for different types of audiences. Yeah.
And is it and so then it is, and then is the plugin included with ZWeave? Is the plugin just something that's part of what you have with ZWeave as far as working with Unreal?
So actually, here comes the announcement because the question was pretty much linked to that. Actually, we just released our free version that is the Z-Wave free, where you can control so many different things, like as we discussed previously, collision, the rendering previews. We have also zipper. You can control the zip and the speed animation and many other things. But then we have Z-Wave Pro and Unreal or Maya plugins. Maya plugin work very similar as Unreal plugin as well. But today we are only focusing on Unreal Engine.
No, that makes sense. And so you could go to Maya or on Unreal, and that plugin is free to use those things. So someone could develop. So theoretically, if you have the ZWeave plugin, someone could get ZWeave. The plugin's free. Everyone can have it on Unreal. Someone could be creating costumes for folks and putting them up in the marketplace as ZWeave products. So they're making things that users could use, and then they could buy them and put them onto their into their Unreal Engine. Is that a possibility? It seems like it'd be a really good industry.
In theory, yes, but actually, I wanted to correct you that our plugins are separated completely from the software. So we have Z-Wave free that anybody can access and download from our website. Then there is Z-Wave Pro or the plugins.
So the plugins have their own pricing, but it's not particularly high, right? I mean, what's like a typical pricing for the?
We're interested in buying it. That's why we want to know how much it costs. We're trying to figure out how much we have to save up to buy it. It looks like a great product. But so how does the pricing? I know that you were going to get to it, but we're going to run out of time. How does your pricing work?
So we actually also released the pricing for personal use because previously we only worked directly with enterprises. So At first you can of course ask for 14 days free trial for all the versions like Pro, Unreal, and Maya as well. So for the personal use, it's just $15 for Unreal, for example, or for Z-Wave, the Pro version is $40. Of course, it's on monthly basis.
On $40 a month for the Pro version. Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
40 for Z-Wave Pro and 15 for Unreal plugin.
Right. But that Z-Wave. So if you had the Pro and you were a creator, you could be creating lots of things and again making those files available in the Unreal marketplace. I mean, that seems like a really interesting market. Like to have people being able to design is one thing, because what happens is a lot of us may not be clothing designers, but we are. We need all that clothing for our metahumans. But if you are a design student or a designer, it's got a little extra time. You could be sitting inside a Z-Weave, building out shirts and dresses and jackets and so on and so forth, and making those available and selling those selling the actual Z-Wave files so that someone could very quickly have something that's very expertly put together where they still have a lot of control. I think that's what's exciting is it's not just a model that you're buying from. It's not just a model that you're buying from the marketplace, but it's really a clothing document that can still be adjusted and refined inside of Unreal. I could definitely see how that could turn into an interesting market. That's really...
Yeah, definitely. We actually never had anybody doing that yet, but it's a very interesting model because we work with a lot of creators for gaming industry, especially for Zepeto, for example. Zepeto is one of the metaverses that is more popular in Asia, and many our creators, they sell the garments then on Zepeto.
Right.
So it might be possible that somebody will adapt the same model as for selling like that way.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because the free version of ZWeave is brand new, right? So I'm not familiar with that yet. And number one, when I was looking on the webpage, I was surprised. So the free version, you can even export and import FBX, right? So it actually still has file import export built into the free version, right? And then I was curious, does the free if I had the free version of ZWeave, made a design, can I save that as a ZLS file that I could then open with the $15 Unreal plugin, ZWeave, Z Unreal? Would that work? Or does the Z Unreal, like the plugins for Maya and Unreal, do they only work with the pro version of ZWeave? I wasn't sure.
So I just wanted to know that you can import the static and animation in FBX, OBJ formats, and export only statics in different formats. So you can import animation, like for example, as we discussed previously, like Mixamo animation, but you can only export static for use of other softwares. For other softwares, like if you don't have the Unreal plugin, for example. Sorry, what was your question again? May I just double check?
So my question is, if I'm using the free version of ZWeave and I create a design, can I save that design as the ZLS file that Logan showed here and open that?
Yeah.
Can I open that?
It's the standard format, yes.
So really, I just need the $15 a month Z Unreal in order to do that importing, and I could do my design in the ZWeave, the free version of ZWeave. I guess the pro version of ZWeave adds extra, it adds you're saying the animation exports, it adds different file formats. And so it would actually be possible for someone to design clothing in the free ZWeave and FBX export that and maybe, add rigging to it if they wanted to in Blender or Unreal so that they could actually create a marketplace asset and sell digital clothing using these tools.
So you can save it in the standard format, and you can export animation data as we discussed. And additionally, Pro version has a lot of other advancements as well. But to answer your question, I think I would need the help of Logan if he could support me on that.
So if you have the Unreal ZWeave for free version, you mean that? But I've known that you have to subscribe the pro version to use your JS file into Unreal Engine using Unreal. So yes, it is. So
that's good to know.
I'm afraid to say that. But if you get a hang of it using ZWeave for free, and if you want to try more, and if you want to make a use of your JS, your outfit to other software, you can just give it a try just for 1 month to use Pro.
Right. That's great. Bill, you had a question?
Yeah, I did real quick. Clothing virtual things is really cool. It sounds like it'd be fun, but what about the real world? Is there any connection where real world fabrics, a virtual fabric store can link to what you could actually buy from fabric manufacturers and create your designs with things you could source and turn out to be real clothes in the real world?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, we work with several brands across Europe and also in Asia to help them use our software to create physical products. Absolutely.
So there could be a virtual fabric store that you could actually order things from your designs and have a dress or a tie or whatever show up.
Actually we have a free 3D assets library where we already have pre-existing assets for different types of needs, like t-shirts and different fabrics as well. So theoretically, yes.
Thanks.
Really interesting set of business models here. Like that, there's really interesting ways to make this work. So it's really fascinating. Let's jump into the questions.
First one comes this morning from Douglas Carmichael. He says, is there work to take 3D cloth design and fabricate it in the real world? He's talking about 3D printed cloth.
The measurements that you have that you're doing in the program, these are measurements that could be used in the real world. So this is really, as you figure it out and you make any adjustments, this is really building the pattern that you could use in the real world to create that product. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. But I think I personally work with different 3D printers. I think you might need to double check the formats and be sure that you export in the right format for the 3D printer, because they all work in slightly different ways. And I think it is important to keep in mind that as well. But speaking about the dimensions, absolutely, yes.
And you could theoretically export the model, like if you bring it into Maya or into Unreal, we could freeze that model, like once it's been simulated, freeze that model and export that out as geometry that could be printed. It wouldn't be 3D printed cloth, but it would be a printed character.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. You can also print it with MetaHuman if you wish so, or you can just print the details. Like you can create certain details and just print them and attach to the real fabrics, to the normal fabrics.
Yeah, it's interesting. I could see how someone, if they had their own avatar, so if they built one that is, they scan themselves, or they have that there and they have their own avatar, they could sit there and go into a viewer and just put on different clothes and see exactly how it's going to look on them remotely. I can see how that would be useful. Next question.
Rick Markley in Wisconsin comes up next. Once the garment is complete, can it be optimized? Can we create different LODs for them?
Logan, would you like to address the question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me answer the question. So you can optimize the mesh quality once you finish the cloth, but now we're working on that, but you can create a different LOD of the clothes on your engine. So I recommend you to customize your mesh quality for clothes on your engine using Unreal, like I showed before in the wireframe.
Next question.
Yeah, we just touched on this. Tommy Shantz in St. Paul, Minnesota says, are you able to take a scan of your own physique and bring it into your program for design?
Svetlana?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you have the scanner, or you can use also your phone, as now our phones are much more powerful than they were before. You can import the files in different formats, as we discussed before. So it can be like FBX file, OBJ file, and things like that. So you can use it as the avatar.
And would you have, if you were going to scan yourself, you would scan yourself in an A pose, to allow it to, would that be probably the easiest way to scan it? Have your friend or, would an A pose be the right way to scan yourself?
I think so. Logan, what do you think?
I think once you create your avatar from scanning, like you scanning yourself, and then you can rig your self avatar in other software like Blender or Maya or so on. You can just easily rig your avatar and then just create your pose in that software. I think that's the good way to do that.
Next question. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to build on this though. Like, do we really need a scan? I mean, you work in fashion industry, and fashion has, for the longest time, worked on like, okay, a tailor would take all of your various measurements around. Like, does the software support that? Like, okay, I've got a tailor measured me. I know my arm lengths. I know my waist and my chest. And like, is there something in the software that I could just take those measurements and plug those in?
Normally, we work on MetaHumans in Unreal Engine and not on Z-Wave. But
so like
I
your
think
avatars, your default avatars don't have a way of adjusting their measurements?
Actually, you can change the value for your avatar shape. Let me share the screen. Yeah. Can you give me a second, please? I need to open the GUI. So,
but I think the hardest in this case is to create the same face, not only the body, but to recreate digitally the physical face. This is the hardest.
And I think we're just interested in the clothing. So the body measurements, I think that if someone didn't want to go through the process of taking a scan, but I still think that it's possible to adjust the measurements of the, you have essentially a mannequin style avatar built into your software, and those measurements can be adjusted maybe?
Yeah. As Logan mentioned, it can be adjusted. Would you like to see that? Because he wanted to open Z-Wave to show.
That's a good question, Nick. Thanks. And let me show the screen. And one of the functions we have, you can you can check this avatar. And when you go to 3D window and you turn on this icon, measurement, and you can see, you can change the measurement of each body part here. And you go to avatar and you can find the body part here. If you want to change the hip circumstance, just check, and then you can put the value. Let me go with the 100. As you can see, body hips got bigger. And also, if you want to get it back, just click this reset button here. And also, you can just change the body shapes easily using this bar like that. Fatness, make it taller, over shoulder. But if you want to create body shape, for avatar, you can use this one, body parameter here.
So
we don't have this in MetaHuman, do we?
Necessarily use this specific to MetaHumans, but this is a great way for if somebody did want to digitally create costuming or clothing.
Do we have that much control in MetaHuman?
Get real world measurements in there, and you don't even need like a full blown 3D scan.
Yeah, you can get the measurements there. It's really interesting.
I never want to have a Z-Wave fatness slider for my avatar. Please, no.
Let's go to the next question.
Next question comes to us from Rick Markley in Wisconsin. And Rick says, are the threads visible? As an artistic choice, could they be made visible and change the colors and thread count and so forth?
Rick, do you want to build on that a little bit?
Just sometimes, like when you have an outfit, like the threads are a different color, so you can see where the threads are joining the seams together and can change the color on it. I was just curious if the threads are visible or can they be made visible?
Oh, let me answer the question. If you want to get the realistic texture like the thread, we usually work on other software like a Substance Sampler or Photoshop to create the texture. And if you want a thread, I think you need to opacity map to get the more realistic texture. So you can just bring them into the GUI and add a new material in fabric pattern. You can just apply that pattern, fabric into pattern. It's done. And you can see the thread visible.
Next question.
Jason Robertshaw in Sarasota, Florida comes up next, and Jason says, can you add fantasy elements to the clothing like sci-fi lighting strips or cyberpunk LEDs, or would that be done in another program?
I think you'd probably end up, it seems like some of the stripes and textures would probably be something that would make sense. LEDs probably are something that you'd have to build in Unreal or something else. I don't think you guys do LEDs. So let's go to the next question.
Paul Wallace in Austin, Texas up next. How do you support your Z-Weave user community? For example, Office Hours has a Discord to do that.
Do you have
that's lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely question. Because we not that much time ago, we set our Discord and we invite other Discord users for joining, especially our ambassadors. And we try to collaborate with other Discord channels for creating contests or giving some perks or more information on how to use our software. So please do join our Discord. It's directly on our website. You can also join our ambassador program for different needs. If you want to create things for like garments for Zepeto, or if you want to just use our like pro version, so please do let us know. We are really happy to expand our community, and we love to be close to our users.
Svetlana and Logan, thank you so much for your time. It's a really interesting product. I'm really glad we were able to have you on. We're very excited about it.
Yeah,
Thanks
the
for
time
having me today.
feels
Yeah.
so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Really great. So you'll probably get some more inquiries from us. I think as far as we start to play with it, I think that it's a really, really interesting. It really solves a problem that a lot of us have as far as, it's fine to get stuff in, but really having these expert controls, available to us is amazing. Thank you so much to the panelists. Can't do this without you. Thanks to the incredible development team on the back end that makes this possible. Of course, it's a small village that takes every single day to turn this show on. And so we thank everybody who makes it happen every day. We also thank the management team and and all the teams on the back end that figure out what we're doing and organize all these second hours and put all those things together. We really appreciate all of your contribution. Today, if we had to walk around and ask these questions, we would have traveled 46,000 miles. That's 74,000 kilometers, and that is 365 million bananas for scale. All right, let's go ahead and jump into After Hours.
Thanks to everyone.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you, Svetlana. Thank you.
Thank you so much today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Logan and Lana. Thank you.
Get my Unreal PC up. It's sitting in a box waiting to get tied into the rest of my system here. Now I have to.
Yeah, but we are looking forward for releasing Mac version, because a lot of users are really using MacBook Pro, or like even the PC. So looking forward to do that.
Yeah, that'll be great. Well, let me know, because I'm a Mac guy. I have some PCs, but I've got about 6 Macs sitting on this table right now. So
yeah, I do love Mac as well, but I have a normal PC too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thanks so much. All right, see you later.
Thank you
so much. Thank you.